much. I'm not the only CEO, by the way. There's the other one sitting there, but he doesn't want to stand up, I guess. So the first thing that you will notice when looking at this guy's face is that he has nothing to do with me. So this guy lived in the beginning of the 20th century. His name is Joseph Campbell, and his profession was being a mythologist. He was a thinker, he was a philosopher, he was a writer, and he wrote an amazing book which is titled The Hero with a Thousand Faces. He, in this book, was looking for the monomyth, or in other terms, the hero's journey, which was a universal pattern found in myths across different cultures, across different religions and religious books. And the hero's journey is about the hero going out into the unknown, facing challenges, facing tasks, overcoming those challenges, and then coming home with a boon. Now, the book argues that this narrative reflects the human psychological journey of self-realization. So it's using insights from psychoanalysis and is, in this sense, providing a roadmap for navigating life. Now, another big thinker of the beginning of the 20th century, or I think he was a big thinker, his name is George Lucas. He created the Star Wars saga, and he was in love with the theory of Joseph Campbell. It's a funny thing that they didn't have the chance to meet until his, like George Lucas's third film, The Return of the Jedi, was finished. But he said that he based his story on the theories that Joseph Campbell did. Now, going through a little bit more filtering and narrowing down the 12 steps somewhat further, we come down to three main and super important aspects of a hero's journey. First of all, we need a hero. Now, for George Lucas, it was Luke Skywalker, a nobody guy not being aware of his superpowers, living in a desert outside on the rim of the galaxy. And he is being called on the big journey to fight the galaxy with his lightsaber. And obviously, he faces an obstacle, the obstacle being itself, like the galaxy itself that he wants to save his friends and his family from, which is embodied in his father, but that's a different story afterwards. Now, let's check how this whole story would work here in this room with you guys and me standing up here on this podium. Well, I'm the hero here. I'm sorry to say so, but it is true. I'm the CEO of ZOA Studio. The company itself is celebrating its 20th anniversary. This year, we still have to figure out how we do the party, by the way, at the end of the year. Just telling you, Mate, don't forget that. My goal here is to explain 20 years of animation creation to you. 20 years of animation creation, because I think animations have been our flagship product. You might be knowing our stuff. If not, just check our YouTube channel. So that's my goal. I have 40 minutes. The obstacle that I'm facing is, sorry, it's cute, okay? But it's representing you guys here. And the reason I put it there, and it's I typed yesterday evening, I typed in Midjourney, a diverse animal species facing in one direction. You have different jobs. Like some of you are in management, some of you are artists, some of you do this, some of you might be doing marketing. And workflows in general, which are a fundamental stuff for creating animations, are super boring in some sense. But I will try to explain it to you in a fun and memorable way. And the thing is that I'm really hoping that all of you will understand why story and the hero story is an important part of our profession. Now, why tell a story? What is so important about it? Why do every second speaker says, well, storytelling this way and that way? Now, we have all faced clients who come to us and say like, oh, I have a story. Hey, you don't have to worry about it. We know what to do. So there's a guy coming with the airplane, he's landing, and then he gets into the metro, because the metro stops at the real estate development that we are talking about, of course. Well, it will in 10 years. And he goes into the metro and goes into this location and then just looks up the building. So that's, let's face it, that's not a story. There is no real hero here. The only reason why we are having this character, like landing and whatever, is so that we can put these individual shots next to each other, but there's no real story behind it. Now, a story, first of all, a story evokes emotions. That's paradigm number one. If it does not evoke emotions, you can easily say that, okay, it was a walkthrough animation. By the way, I hate the word walkthrough animation, and whenever a client comes in and uses this word, I feel this ticking in my right shoulder, and I'm trying to explain to him, like, what is my feelings with this word and why I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because it's just shots being put next to each other, and usually after 15 seconds you start yawning. And the reason for that is because there is no story behind it, and because there is no story behind it, it doesn't evoke emotions. People remember things that generate emotions. It's a fact. Like, you don't, honestly, like, some of you might be arguing with that, but it's not really numbers that you remember. It's not really, especially not phone number. How many phone numbers do you know? You see? But you know a lot of movies that you have watched. And the reason why you know that and why you remember it is because it generated emotions. That's what you remember. So this is basically how memory works. And this is the goal of our animations at ZOA Studio, that if you do something, if you do an animation, it should reside in the back of your head with the emotion that it generated. Now, number 4, and this is even a bigger story in sense of stories. This is a picture which was taken in 1969. All these people looking at a screen, which is on the right side, were believing in the story that a rocket could land on the moon. It was a story, right? It didn't happen before. They were believing in it. So stories have the power to foster people together, to hold them tightly together, and steer them in one direction. Stories are the greatest human invention. People need stories in order to cooperate. Historian Harari went even a step further, and he said that you can change the way people cooperate with each other if you change the stories that they believe in. I mean, this is the level of religions and the level of politics that we are talking about right now. I think there are 2.4 billion Christians at this point in the world, and they believe in the Bible, right? And there's another 2 million Islams. I think their religion is slightly based on the Bible. I think they both together, it's 4.4 billion. I think that's more people than believe in the Star Wars saga. I can tell that. I think so. Maybe not. But you check ChatGPT during the next couple sessions. So let's see how this whole theory works in the praxis. This animation proves, for me at least, for sure, that stories are super strong. And one of the reasons is that this was done 7 years ago, I think. And Boti, high five for this one. It was an amazing stuff that you did together with Matteo. Let's check how the hero's journey works in this animation. By the way, this is a photograph here taken on spot from the building. It's a real estate development in Antwerpen, Belgium. The client was the real estate developer. The building itself was designed by Japanese architect Shigeru Ban. We think that he's the hero in this story. I mean, why it's the architect, I will explain a little bit later. But Shigeru Ban is the architect, he is the hero. The goal was to showcase that Antwerpen is building its first wooden tower in Belgium, and it was designed by a Japanese architect. The real estate developer is building a lot of buildings. All of them have a thematic, and they are proudly using the names of the architects. It's a pretty decent and great team to work with, and their projects are also really amazing. Now, the obstacle that we were facing is that I'm trying to be politically correct here, or PC. While the facade is like surprisingly rhythmical. Let's say it's a little bit boring. So during the briefing sessions that we had with the client, they were asking us to kind of conceal the building, like show it the building, but like conceal it a little bit. Okay, let's see how the animation worked out. So last year we won the best facade representation prize in the Cadoro with this one. I think it works really well still. This is a slide that we tend to showcase our clients. I won't dive too much into detail. We consider one type of animation a standard film, and which consists of animated scene, beauty shots, intro, outro, animated people, and music. That's not what we want to work on. We want to work on signature films which starts with a deep creative concept, a deep dive into thinking of the story and what is it that we want to represent. It in many cases includes VFX and 2D motion graphics. Standard film is there for clients who just don't, I don't know how to say that. Like, don't look for quality that much? I don't know. Okay, you got the point, right? So we are aiming for signature films. And when deciding on this topic, whether a film is ripe enough to be a signature film and whether we want to put shitloads of hours into it, 500, 1,000, 1,500 hours into a film, there's three aspects that we are checking. First of all, does the client pay? Like, is it okay? Like, are they ripe for that, or are they okay to put their money into and investing it into a film and 1 minute of stuff? Second is, can we show the stuff at the end? I mean, this is super important. You put 1,500 hours of work into something, and you can't show it. That's a pain. That's so freaking frustrating, really. Number three is the architecture okay? Like, does it look cool? Because it gives, on the long run, we think that it gives artists some space for experimentation, and it also looks cool on Instagram. Like, let's face it, okay? So these are the three aspects, and our general rule of thumb is if two are okay, we can go on and put shitloads of hours into production. This is completely off topic, but it makes me so furious that I needed to collect it. These are the projects of the last year, and these are only images that our art director selected as ones that we would want to show on our social media. But we are not allowed to for NDA reasons, because they didn't put it out, because we have a workflow, pretty steady one, where we check regularly what is to be shown. I mean, this is insane. You have the same stuff, right? So the two people, I'm just asking you if you're ever willing to organize a workshop or a roundtable where furious people come together and think of ways to fight against their clients, how to use and how to write contracts to use stuff. I want to be there, really. I This, as the next step, is our animation workflow. I deleted some stuff so that you don't get jammed with all the information. You don't have to deep dive into all the details at this point, but just make a quick photo. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, just quick photo, and then you can analyze it at home. It's super simple. I would say that this part here, the left side, is what we call planning or concept creation phase, and this part is production. Now, after each of the steps, briefing, concept, storyboard, sketch, preview, we have a meeting with the client, a real meeting. Like, don't just send it over to them and hope that they will be okay to check it, but like have a discussion with them. Have a schedule. I will show you how a schedule looks like. And after each of the meetings, make sure that you're on the same track with them, of course. This is all usually written or some kind of Google format stuff that we use, and from here the animations are always low resolution. I mean, we are using 3ds Max and Corona, very old school. We always use tools that we take off from the shelf. We once tried developing our own stuff, but went completely off because others were doing it a lot better. So we are just using stuff that is out there and try to be creative. And all of our workflows are created in a way so that that this creativity that we think can and should be pushed into the projects has some room to do that. The reason for that is because there are experiments out there that prove that art pieces that were created for clients are usually less interesting than the ones that artists did for themselves or without artistic interaction or with a client interaction. And if you think of this and try to manage a pipeline where creativity can flourish, then the half of the job is already done. Now let's see each of these steps. And before I dive in, this is a typical scheduling. We use a software, an online tool called Smartsheet to manage our resources. This is a usual pipeline or workflow: 3 days of briefing, then a creative concept lasting for a week, storyboard, sketch, preview, and then this one is the final one. It always starts optimistic, right? And by optimism, I mean that here they have 3 days to answer because they need to write, you know? It's not like they just have a call, because they need to write something back to us, so we left them 3 days. And here it's happening instantly. So deadline Friday, Monday, we hope we had a meeting with them and they give us feedback. This is not how it goes, you know that, right? Like usually what's happening is that this line here gets here until 2 weeks, and then you have 1 week of, and then what the problem that people start having is like, what do you do with those people? Like, do they start another project, or do they do in-house development or R&D, or they just start polishing the 3ds Max files so they don't do whatever mess they do in the deadline render later on? Now that's a struggle, and I could have brought shitloads of different schedulings of projects which went off. I will just tell one story where I felt super helpful and powerful at the same time. It was an animation done for an airport, and we had 3 weeks for 1 minute of animation, which is, I think, quite jammed. Like, we could put 6 people onto this project immediately, but still, it's just too much, I think. And then, okay, everybody's ready, waiting for the green light, and let's start on Monday. We want the model. Guys, you don't get the model yet. You please just work on the storyboard, and you will get the model in 1 week. Like, what the hell? 2 weeks for 1 minute of animation? That's like, what's the quality that you expect us to do? Okay, we did get some kind of preliminary model. We created the storyboard, and we started working. And just 1 week before the final deadline, the client said, "Guys, the animation is amazing, but we had an in-house discussion, and the design is not okay." And we said, like, all right, like, and what's going to happen now? Well, the deadline is fixed. It's we can't change it. So you have 1 week to import our new model and do an animation. And that's the point where I stepped in and said, okay, we can do it, but you will not see the final animation until the deadline point, and you will have no comments whatsoever at the whole process. Or we just don't do it. And you can, I'm sorry, but that's the 2 choices you have. And they went for the way not to have any kind of comments. The animation was amazing, and I also slept quite okay that evening. Briefing is super important. I think this is the whole workflow is 20 years of experiencing and back and forth and putting some stuff in, taking out. I think the briefing one is the last one that got like detailed enough to be present in a workflow. You don't have to read it, okay? This is just to show this is how it usually looks like. It's text. We have questions, and we have a kickoff call. We discuss, first of all, 2 very important questions, and this defines the whole process afterwards. Why do we do this stuff? Like, why? It always starts, Simon Sinek has this book, always start with a why. Why? Why do we do the animation? And all the benefit, all the stuff that I'm going to show here below, I'm not sure whether it makes sense to. Just give me a second. I will also read it here. Everything leads to the message. So purpose, why, and you have all these questions: target audience, what's the market, what are the things that you want to see, what are the things that you don't want to see, what media channels you use, what's the timing, deadline, etc. And everything leads up to the message. What is the one sentence that this film should show? If you don't get to this point of being able to answer this very simple question, what is this one sentence, you shouldn't start the animation in general. I learned this from my own, I wouldn't mirror translate that from Hungarian, but I did a mistake myself, and I learned it just this spring. We started an in-house animation project where the message itself, so we had 2 teams. One team was responsible for the creative part, and another team which was responsible for the production, for the 3D part. And the message was not ripe, so it wasn't ready. The concept wasn't ready in general. but I told this 3D team, like, don't worry, this looks so amazing already. Like the R&D and the stuff that they created, it was blowing up stuff, not exploding, but like really like a balloon blowing up stuff. It looked so amazing that I got hooked on the idea of going further and do it. So they started working on it, and there was no message behind it, and then it just turned out that it doesn't make any sense. Like, we already have an animatic, it's edited, it's there, the music, and it's cut, and it's just nothing. And we put 200 or 300 hours into basically nothing. I take responsibility for this, so you guys, you have nothing to do with it, okay? But the message was not there, and it's so freaking important. There will be 2 slides for concept. First of all, because this is an example of how it looks like. It's also like text and images. Lately, GIF or whatever, animations, small pieces. It's all about the form and the content. I mean, I'm saying this because I cannot really say a recipe how a good concept looks like, but I would always suggest you to do 2 concepts, at least 2, but not more. Like 2 concepts because in this way you can steer the client. You can show them concept A, which is a little bit funkier. It's hip. It has nice music. It's just something fresh, something young. And there is version B, which is more conservative, a little bit less funky, slower, wide angles. We see everything. So 2 different variations, and the client can choose. And if they can choose, they feel they have added something to the whole process. Usually they are capable of selecting A or B, but if not, then some elements come over from the other one. So 2 concepts are amazing. And one more thing, which is, I think, something that I'm trying to understand, that this is the time for research and development. Not later, when it's super stressful and everybody is blaming the person sitting next to him for why the sequences are not ready 3 hours before the deadline. So the whole concept is basically a reference collection for the aspect that is important for that specific film. These 2 animations that we worked on lately, they are not photorealistic, as you see. And I collected these 2 because they are not photorealistic. Yeah, that's the reason behind it. This one is in a Brno competition that we did for the Austrian branch of Snohetta. And this one is, I can't tell you, sorry. They would shoot me. Again, the same topic. Where is that round table with the discussion? But this is a train station in London, basically. I told it. Damn. Okay. And I said that the form and function. Like, I'm an architect myself. I kind of understand what I say if my mouse says these 2 words. They need to be in line with each other, and in this case, at the Brno case, the reason why we chose this technique, not going for photorealistic, was because the design was not ready. It was a master plan project, and they just didn't exactly know what is going to happen material-wise. So we said, okay, then we will just find this cartoonish style and render it and do it this way. It worked amazingly. They loved it. They even took the color scheme from this video and used it in their presentation later. Which made me think whether we are a branding studio or an architectural visualization studio. But I was super happy for the whole stuff. And in this case, it was money. they said, okay, everything looks good, the pitch looks good, you guys are amazing, I would want to drink a beer with you if I would have the time to, but you are just charging too much. And then we said, okay, then let's think about it. What should we do? What should we do? Like, let's do this. Let's do a maquette style. Rendering is done in overnight. No need to work too much on materials, and it was amazing. And they loved it as well. Now, if there is one thing that you go home and take on with yourself, and you get asked, like, what did you hear today? I would suggest this part, brainstorming. This is completely new to me, or not now, but let's say 5 years ago, this whole thing was new to me, and I don't know why they teach it in schools. They should be doing it. We're just too much focused on individual learning techniques and whatever. But brainstorming in general, it's first of all, what you need is these 3 or 4 people sitting at a round table. Take a post-it with yourself where you write up your ideas. If your ideas don't fit on a post-it, they're probably not ripe enough. So it shouldn't be bigger than a post-it. It's 2 sentences, maybe 3. And always stay positive. Like if you start talking about different ideas, it should be a kind of ping-ponging. I have an idea, I say it out loud. Now the person next to me remembers a film from last year, which he shows, and it just the idea starts ping-ponging across multiple people. What I didn't write up here is that this whole idea of brainstorming also needs you to get loose of this proudness of I did this. No, it's the team who did it. Okay, it's teamwork. That's why it's called this way. But if you're capable of doing that, and if there is 3 people sitting in a room and really ping-ponging between ideas, and it's just jumping from one to the other, and they're just willing to swallow the other one because I want to be louder, my idea. And if you have this idea, or if you have this situation, you can be kind of sure that that's a good idea. That could be a good concept because I don't know. It's just try it, and that's the most important thing of creativity. Just do it. Like sit down, try it, do it. There is no other way of experimenting or getting there. Just practicing. Sit down and brainstorm. What we do in many cases is reusing ideas, recycling them. Because I told you that there is always 2 ideas. One tends to fall out, and that one could be going into a bin, a dustbin, or you can put it in a safe place and store it in the same way as you store other assets. It's an asset, your ideas. This is an animation. I think it also won. It won the Grand Prix last year for Cadoro. I will. It's might sound ridiculous, but this was the idea behind it. We called it senses, and we called it senses because the idea here was that there is different functions. It's I think it was a music hall. It's this. Gondola coming up on the top of a cable car coming up on the top of the hill. It's a park, it's whatever, and you can experience this place with all your 5 senses. I don't know how many times I told this sentence in the last 10 years. I think it started 10 years ago. This idea was used in this film the 5th time, okay? So the first 4 times it was not selected. They didn't like it, so we just reused it. That's so simple, and it always got riper. And I mean, I'm not ashamed of it because they tend to say architects build one building. I tend to say architecture visualization artists do one animation, which is of course not completely true, but the census idea was used the 5th time and it worked. It got super ripe, by the way, at that point. This is the way how we store ideas. And there's a lot of info missing here because it's just full HD and whatever. But there are some red ones here. Idea changed. Like we try to track down what is the reason behind a film not getting to its completion with the concept that we have thought of. And in many cases, I like to think myself that we mess up. Like we could of course say that, oh, it's the client. No, I mean, if I say it's the client, I can't really change anything. But if I try to look for what I did mess up, that's something that I can certainly change. And the stuff that we messed up in many cases here is presentation, like going there and doing it in a way that it makes sense. And what was also missing there is R&D. In the cases that worked, which are not marked red here, what we have found is that in the presentation phase, there was already an example which was very close to the final one. So we created a shot that was using the type of transition or the type of VFX or the type of whatever the film's aspect was at that point, and it just worked out. Here are 2 small examples. This one is Snohetta Verona, and this slide is mostly about communication and how we do stuff with our clients. Now, the pain point in every project is that you have no clue whether the person on the other end of the Zoom call is a decision maker or not, right? You think they are decision makers because they have nice watches and they dress well and they speak okay. And it just turns out that they need 6 days instead of 1 to decide because they have to talk with their bosses. So in this case, we worked with a huge development company and it was the top. It was basically the owner of the company who was sitting on the other side. And we showed them that this is a Verona project, and Verona, Romeo and Juliet, and the Romeo and Juliet, then it's opera. And if it's opera, then let's put opera scenes into our animation and try to steer the whole thing this way. And he said, like he was sitting on the other side and said, guys, this was an amazing 20-minute presentation. All I would want to ask you is please make sure that the trolleybus station is visible in the film. We said, okay, we expected a little bit more enthusiasm, but all right, let's go with that. Now, this is another one. I love this film, by the way. It's here, the project was here in Budapest, very successful. Well, it was the target audience in this case that I would like to point out to. Sorry, it's the PC thing, you know, that I'm trying to. So the target audience is very masculine, has a lot of money, mostly from being next to the political streams, very corrupt at the same time. They love parties, they love cocaine, and they love escort girls in general. And we told them, like, okay, then let's do a film which is about an escort girl arriving at a party in this house, big stuff happening, and then the whole film is basically a flashback of tomorrow, like what is happening tomorrow morning, and looking backwards. And they said, okay, that's brilliant, let's go for it. And it worked. Of course, if you check the film, we like concealed stuff, but it's just working. Storyboard, very straightforward. Once we get there, it's just individual shots are represented by one image. and additional information in regards of music, sound effects, narration, or whatever is important. And the why this is important is because some of the clients tend to see their first time in their entire life what exactly is going to be on the animation, and they say like, hey, this is a nice room, but it's in a completely different building. So this is something that you would certainly want to avoid. Something that we do in-house is creating an animatic, which is screen grab parts from the user interface, and if there is stock videos, we just combine them, but we never show it to clients. The reason is they get super, like, they have no clue what you're showing there. So we go for a colored okay, so we go for a colored version, which already includes the rough geometry and lighting, environment, and whatever. And in many cases, VFX is already included. So this is basically the final animation. The only thing that is not there is resolution. This will be, I think, history very soon. I also believe that GPU rendering is going to take over whatever we do now, but at this point, 7 years ago, this was the thing that we did. The preview animation, and one thing that we try to make the client understand is, at this point, like, please don't look at the details, okay? It's about the film. You remember we talked about the message and the purpose and all these fancy poetic questions that we discussed with each other. Like, try to look at the film. Do you get the message from this film? Is it there? Will the target audience also understand this once they get it? It usually works. Preview is basically the same quality of animations that we do for sketches. The only thing that is different is that we render out one frame of each of the shots so that they can start putting their sticker notes in Miro board onto them. Everybody loves that. I mean, it's so full HD frames, and then we get to the final product. Now, I wasn't quite sure which of the animations I should show at the end or before I get to the end. Now, ironically, this is a film that we created for a German developer in Munich. And it's also nominee now at this year's Cadoro competition. The story was destroyed like after the first meeting with the client. They explicitly said that they don't want to interpret the message, and they don't want, so it's a standard film. But we try to do the best out of it still, and I'm really thinking that the VFX holds the whole thing kind of together. So does the music. It's not over yet. I'm trying to get back to where I started about the hero's journey, and in our story as ZOA Studio, or as us being here, I strongly believe that our heroes are the architects. The architects, they build the myths of tomorrow. These people there are either owners of studios, or used to be owners of studios, or are the actual people that we do work with. We do consider them our heroes. Their goals are to create these mythical environments we now call the future. And our goal as visualization artists is to overcome the obstacles that they are facing. Their obstacles are economical, it is environmental, and it's political. Our images and animations are the way we give those myths their first breath, their first heartbeat, and their first light. And before the concrete is even poured, the story is already alive. And I do believe that gives a sense to our work and a reason for us to wake up every morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Andras. That was amazing. Anybody have any questions? Please let me give you the microphone because we are recording this and I want to hear what you have to say.
When you are creating your images or animations, do you use AI at any stages of the process? Let's say, for instance, for inspiration, or to create textures, for instance, or just to improve the final quality of your images or animations? Thank you.
We do use AI. We do use it extensively for in the concept phase, and to create the references for the concept, and we use them to add detail to final renderings, and and to create. In some cases, we use them to create animation shots from images in the same way as everybody else does.
Anyone else? Yeah, hold on.
Thank you so much. Amazing speech, really enjoyed.
Thank you so much.
I have one main question because that's what we're dealing with. In your workflow, I realized that you don't have any feedback rounds after you provide actually low res, right?
We do have feedback rounds
you have?
after.
Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't saw that. Because that was my question, how are you dealing with that? Because this is impossible.
We don't have any clients, that's all.
Okay. That makes sense.
No. There's a client, and educating them is like the tough part. Absolutely. Yeah, I missed to tell that if it wasn't clear.
It's mostly like individual approach, or sorry, I just didn't understand, because in your workflow it was the stills, and then you have the animatic preview, and then you have the low res, and then you deliver final.
So it's after, like at the production part, it's after sketch and after preview. There is like a couple days of feedbacking from the client.
Okay.
So what we usually do is we try to present the stuff to them, not just send it over. And once we have a meeting with them and we show them, like, here we are now, please focus on that part. This is still missing. Here we are planning to do this and that, and then they give us their feedback. Yeah, absolutely. But we try to steer them to tell, like, after sketch, like, please, like, I know that the tree is off and the colors and whatever, but the edit,
Because like we have like 2 rounds after low press, low preview, and they still like. I mean, very often we're receiving like feedbacks. The water is too slow, or like, can you just reduce it for 5%?
It's whatever. I think it's a discussion technique or like arguing technique with them. If you say 2 rounds, it's going to be 3 anyways. No, like.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone? Oh, you're way over there. Yeah, just ask. Go ahead. I'm going to repeat it.
I want to know in the ZOA, for each time of the comments they make again, no resolution preview and rendering?
No.
Okay. And how much take time for whole of the production? I mean, for one animation?
Like usually a 1 to 1.5 minute animation, we try to fit it into let's say 6 weeks, with after images are done or after because creating the images is usually ahead of the process if we are doing them, or we ask them to have images ready, because the image creation process already filters the design itself. So by the end of the image creation process, they have an understanding of how the building is going to look like. But your question is completely valid, whether we do an update of the car going from left to right and right to left. No, we don't send them. We tell them that this is going to be implemented in the next round, and we do everything in our power to have it in there. But if you have these kind of it's a trust issue.
Okay, we have time for one more awesome question. Like, it has to be an amazing question. Is yours amazing? If you're going to ask how much they charge, you can put your hand down. I mean, we can do 2 if we're quick.
Hi. I want you, if possible, to elaborate a little bit about your animation you did for Snoheta, the sketchy one, which I find the most appealing one. Mm-hmm. And if you can elaborate a little bit about the brainstorming and was that created inside a team? And was there a spontaneous moment that somebody found this idea, or did this idea came out of a brainstorming? And if it came out of the brainstorming, how do you develop a team to follow that spontaneity? And did you get what I mean, or
yeah,
should
I understand the question. Honestly, I can't remember. I think the whole brainstorming session thing came way later into our workflow than that animation was created in. But there was one more info in that animation, and it was something that many clients ask, like use one camera movement because then they think they can understand the spacious connections of different parts. And we found a very good reference for an art center in, I think, in the US, which was very similarly created but completely different. And during our discussions, we showed that reference to the client. They were happy about the whole concept, and then everything was basically like carved into stone. It was just the colors that we needed to discuss, and how we build up the different functionalities after each other, because we start from big and we go to lower and then land on the roof and whatever. Or I know no. Okay, sorry, I can't remember. That's the most honest answer I can give.
So then, how much did you charge?
200,000.
It was between $10 and $1 million, something like that. So Johan, just yell your question out.
You showed us about the planning tool that you use, the smart sheet thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just internally, or do you share as well with the clients, that they know in which kind of phase
We usually print it. We tried steering them onto it and use it as a project management tool, but it didn't work out. But it's a good idea. We should try that. We usually print it into PDF and just send it to the client. And if it's updated, which happens quite regularly, then we print again and send it and ask them. I think it's super important to send it upfront and tell them, like, look, we understand that this is the schedule, but please check on the marked dates. Are you going to be available for a meeting? And then it usually turns out that everybody's on vacation and they do this and that, and you can start the whole process again.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Andras,
you.
really.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.